Something happened in February. Not loudly. Not all at once. But if you were paying attention, really paying attention, you felt it. A month that started quietly and ended with some of the most memorable music of the year. Albums that didn't just fill space, but occupied it. Some of these records are beautiful. Some are abrasive. Some will disturb you in ways you won't fully understand until 3 listens in. And one of them, one album you may have never seen coming, might just be the best thing released so far in 2026. These are my top 10 albums of February. Stay with me. February rewarded 2 kinds of listeners, the patient ones, and the curious ones. From intimate punk confessions to industrial noise experiments, the month had range. It had ambition. And after sitting with all of it, weighing production craft, songwriting depth, emotional resonance, and replay value, here is where I landed. Kicking things off at number 10, I have Gorillaz with The Mountain. Gorillaz have never been interested in standing still. And The Mountain continues that restless tradition. This time, the album draws heavily from ancient Indian musical influences, layered instrumentation and textures inspired by Hindu traditions. The result feels denser. More spiritually immersive than much of their previous work. It may not convert skeptics. But for fans already invested in the world Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewlett have built over the years, there is plenty here to explore. One of the more intriguing releases of the month. Coming in at number 9, I picked Joyce Manor's I Used to Go to This Bar. This one crept up on me. It is one of February's most quietly affecting punk rock releases. Joyce Manor operates in an intimate, confessional register, building songs that feel like private conversations rather than public performances. The production is sparse, but intentional. It lets the vocals carry the emotional weight. There is a lived-in quality to the writing. Specific. Unhurried. Deeply personal. It is not an album that announces itself loudly. But it lingers, long after the final track fades. Honestly, this is one of my favorite rock releases of the year so far. If you are looking for something focused and emotionally grounded, this one absolutely delivers. At number 8, I picked J. Cole's The Fall Off. It is a strong record. Thoughtful. Emotionally reflective. There are plenty of highlights and very little filler, which cannot be said for most rap albums of this length. That said, pacing remains the album's primary weakness. Several songs blend together, similar vocal cadences, similar tonal choices. Some features feel supportive rather than transformative. But let me be clear, The Fall Off is far from a failure. It is well written, carefully produced, and crafted with real intention. It just does not push Cole significantly beyond the ground he covered on 2014, Forest Hills Drive, KOD, or The Off-Season. Rather than redefining his legacy, it reinforces it. For me, it stands as my favorite rap album of the year so far, right behind the new A$AP Rocky project. Compared to recent releases from NBA YoungBoy, Wiz Khalifa, and Don Toliver, Cole delivers with far more consistency and control. Next, at number 7, I have Charli XCX's Wuthering Heights. In my full review, I described this as a gothic pop standout. Wuthering Heights is cohesive and well-produced, successfully capturing a dark, cinematic atmosphere. House is a particular highlight. At times, the album sacrifices immediacy for mood, and you feel that trade-off. But it still reinforces Charli's versatility and artistic intelligence. Even if it does not quite reach the emotional intensity of her previous record, it is a compelling, carefully built piece of work. Coming in at number 6, I have Converge's Love Is Not Enough. Converge continue redefining the boundaries of hardcore and post-metal. Love Is Not Enough is abrasive. Unrelenting in stretches. But what elevates it beyond pure aggression is the band's persistent melodic instinct, the way melody and brutality coexist, sometimes within the same breath. It is packed with raw energy and rarely loses momentum. There are no obvious skips. That is why it stands as one of my favorite punk-oriented releases of this month. I do not gravitate toward punk the way I used to. But this record pulled me back in. Halfway through, at number 5, I picked Jill Scott's To Whom This May Concern. R&B legend Jill Scott returns, and she sounds entirely unconcerned with proving anything. That confidence is exactly what makes this album so commanding. To Whom This May Concern leans fully into the richness of her voice, as both instrument and storytelling device. The production is warm and full-bodied, drawing from neo-soul and jazz while still feeling contemporary. It has a timeless quality. The kind that comes from an artist who has nothing left to prove, and still plenty to say. If you appreciate classic R&B textures with modern clarity, this one is absolutely worth your time. At number 4, I have Mandy, Indiana's URGH. This one is not for everyone. And that is precisely the point. URGH builds on industrial noise, fractured electronics, and Valentine Caulfield's icy vocal delivery, pushing their sound into even more extreme territory. The interplay between French and English lyrics against harsh electronic backdrops creates a striking, almost unsettling contrast. For listeners willing to engage with this album on its own terms, it stands as one of the most distinctive artistic statements of February. Disorienting. Exhilarating. Unforgettable. At number 3, I picked By Storm's My Ghosts Go Ghost. In my view, this is the strongest experimental album of the year so far. It blends atmospheric production with writing that balances vulnerability and restraint. Rather than over-explaining emotion, it allows space and texture to carry meaning. The sequencing feels intentional and assured, as if every choice was carefully mapped out in advance. It is one of February's most cohesive and emotionally intelligent releases. An album that asks you to slow down, and rewards you when you do. At number 2, I have Mitski's Nothing's About to Happen to Me. Mitski's single, I'll Change For You, was my top song of January 2026. And then the full album arrived. Nothing's About to Happen to Me is precise. Quietly devastating. Built around the small, specific emotional details that have always defined her songwriting. The production moves seamlessly between intimacy and grandeur, without ever losing focus. Her voice remains one of the most expressive instruments in contemporary music. Whether this ultimately ranks among her very best work will be debated. But it unquestionably belongs at the top of February's conversation. And at number 1, my pick for the best album of February, I have Hemlocke Springs with the Apple Tree Under the Sea. This is the boldest, most unpredictable release of the year so far. It has relentless replay value and firmly establishes her artistic identity. The album rejects the current trend of ultra-minimalist, hyper-polished pop, in favor of something louder. Messier. More human. Instead of smoothing out her eccentricities, she amplifies them. With precision. With discipline. This is not simply a collection of songs. It feels like an invitation into a vividly constructed inner world. The songwriting is sharp. The production is immersive and deliberate. The vocals are unpredictable, but controlled. And most importantly, this album solidifies her voice as an artist rather than chasing anyone else's trends. It is ambitious. Occasionally overwhelming. But undeniably compelling. Already, it stands as one of my favorite releases of the year. That is my top 10 for February 2026. A month that rewarded patience and curiosity in equal measure. From Hemlocke Springs' maximalist world-building to Joyce Manor's intimate confessions, the range on display suggests that 2026 is shaping up to be something special. I will be back next month with the March wrap-up. But before I go, if you made it this far, you already know this channel is a little different. We do not chase algorithms here. We do not chase trends. We just talk about music, honestly, and with care. This channel is brand new, and every single subscriber right now is part of building something real. If that is the kind of music criticism you have been looking for, hit subscribe. It genuinely means everything at this stage. And if this video gave you something, a new album to try, a new perspective, a record you had been sleeping on, leave a like, drop your own February favorites in the comments, and share this with someone who takes music seriously. Until March. Keep listening.